What's up, guys? Mighty Moose Outdoors here. We're going to be talking about different types of PCP air compressors. So I have reviewed a lot of different compressors. I see a lot of different questions about different types and all that. And I think that there's a little bit of confusion out there as to which compressor you should be getting for your situation. So right here, I have three different pumps from the GX line. I have the CS1, I have the CS4i, and I have the E5K1. So these are all different pumps and they cost varying amounts. So the CS1 is kind of their entry level one. It normally costs about 250 bucks. I think it's on sale for 250 right now on Amazon. The CS4i is right around 700 bucks typically, and the E5K1 is normally around $1,200, $1,300. And each of these kind of fill a different niche. And there's one that I think is the ideal one. And then obviously, the budget one and the best one, they're kind of set up that way. Spoilers. Basically, here's my thoughts. If you just have a single air gun that you're filling up, or just a couple air guns that you're filling up, basically you're going to be filling things up like this, like the Umarex Gauntlet, or really any PCP air gun where it has a tank on the gun, then you are probably going to be absolutely fine using something like the CS1. The CS1 is air cooled, so it just has a fan. That does mean that it gets very loud. It does mean that it is prone to overheating if you run it for a long time. But if you're just filling up a small tank, even if it's 4,500 PSI, it will work perfectly fine and it'll do great. It has an auto stop, which I personally think is an essential feature in any pump. It will run off of a 12-volt battery. It will run off of a wall outlet. And it has all the nice safety features that you want. Burst discs, all that kind of stuff. So really great entry-level pump that you can get into for less than the cost of most PCP guns. And honestly, just a solid unit. One step up from that, now there are other ones in the GX line. For example, the CS3 is one that comes to mind. That's basically like a big brother to the CS1. But I personally don't see a huge reason why you would go for the CS3 instead of the CS1, unless you want to go to something like the CS4. And here's why. Ultimately, they're going to be doing the same things. They are both air-cooled compressors, which means that they will be building up heat over time. They are going to overheat, so you aren't going to be able to run it for an extended period of time anyway. If you want to be running it for an extended period of time, like say, for example, you have like a 6.8 liter tank, or even like a 3-liter tank or something like that, then you are going to be wanting to run these pumps for a longer period of time because it takes a long time to fill them up. So if you're in that situation, you're probably going to want to look at a liquid-cooled compressor. In this case, the CS4 or the CS4i, which is my preferred one. It has the what they call the inverter built in so that you can run off of a wall outlet. The CS4, not CS4i, is also available. It's a little bit cheaper, but you do have to carry around your power inverter with it. Some of the benefits of the liquid cooled. Number one is it's quiet. It's very quiet. You can comfortably have a conversation while you're next to it, whereas the fan-cooled ones are very loud. So that's a really big advantage for me, at least. The other advantage is the runtime. You can run them for a really long time, and they don't overheat. So long-term, like longevity of the pump, I think is a lot better because it's not prone to overheating. You aren't going to have a lot of the issues that you may have for running other pumps for long periods of time. And it's just a great unit. It also typically will fill faster because it has a bigger cylinder. It's pushing more air. Having said that, obviously it is bulkier. So just to compare them side by side here, it's significantly bigger than this little shoebox unit. That's a pretty good comparison right there. And it is, a good bit heavier as well because it is also filled with liquid. Just use automotive coolant in it, by the way, not water. So there's some of the cons. It's a lot bigger, it's a lot bulkier, but it does still have an inverter, so you can run it off of a 12-volt battery. And it really, I love it. It's the unit that I personally use the most. It's fabulous, and I've had it for a while. Now, one step up from that is our big boy over here, the EK1, or the even bigger boy EK2, which I've also done a review on. See my previous videos to it. The EK1 is basically just the CS4 but upgraded. So it has a much larger motor, it has a larger piston, it is going to deliver a lot more air, and it has a bigger cooling system. So it's rated for up to 10 hours of continuous runtime. So that means you could you could fill like 15 6.8 liter tanks back to back to back to back to 4,500 PSI. I believe they say it takes about 45 minutes to fill a 6.8 liter tank from 0 to 4,500 PSI using this. So really impressive, honestly, that it can run that kind of workload for this long. And that really is what this is. This is a workhorse. If you are running a paintball field and you're filling HPA tanks constantly, if you are running an air gun shop and you are filling up people's large tanks all the time, potentially even scuba. I don't know hardly anything about scuba. I don't know what the rules are as far as air quality or if there's, special filters or something like that, but this could fill a scuba tank. Whether or not the air would be appropriate or breathable, I'll leave that to the scuba experts. Let me know in the comments if you're a scuba expert. But that's what this is going to do. It's going to fill big tanks, and it's going to fill them all day long, and it's going to do a great job at it. With that, there are some obvious downsides. Number one, this will not run off of a 12-volt battery. So you're not going to carry this into the field and run it off of your car battery. Number two is the size. So comparing the differences here. The CS4, which is not a small unit, is significantly smaller than even the EK1. And the EK2 will extend out the back a good bit even further, because if you see right up here that grease head right there where you can put more grease in, there's a second one because there's two pistons in the EK2, two for two pistons. So it is bulky. It does come on wheels, and I find that the EK1 is still manageable for a single person to, pick up and move around. It certainly is hefty, but it's not difficult to do as a single person, at least for me. The EK2 is significantly heavier. It's got a bigger motor, and it has the extra piston, more cooling, all that kind of stuff. So that one is a really hefty pump. I don't remember the exact weight, but see my video comparing those two specifically if you're looking at one of these. But there you go. So you've got 3 different levels of compressors, and I think almost everybody would fit into one of these 3. Now, there are lots of cheap shoebox compressors like our CS1 over here. There's the SpearTech, which is really popular. I have a video on that one as well. That one you can often get for under $200. I do think that you're paying a little bit extra for the GX because GX is a pretty well-known name in the industry, and they have pretty good support. There's different places like Target Forge that supply parts for them and stuff like that that you can get pretty easily. So having said that, if you can't afford the CS1, but you could afford something in like the $180 price range or maybe $160 price range, I have another video on all the budget PCP compressors where I went over them. There are a couple things that I would avoid. The biggest one is I would avoid any PCP compressor that does not have an auto shut-off, just because that's a really good way to blow up burst disc or possibly have other issues. I think an auto shut-off is really important because people forget that it's running and they get distracted. And having said that, you want one that you can trust the auto shut-off in. So just be aware of that. Check out links in the description for a few different budget ones that are even cheaper than the CS1. Namely, the SpearTech is one that I have had a good experience with. But I do think that the CS1 is also a really good unit, and I've been very happy with it. And it's still really affordable at $250. But it has a good name behind it, and they typically have pretty good customer service, and you can get help. There's a good active community for them online. CS4, if you're a little bit more serious about the hobby, you have a tank or two of your own that you like to fill. I think it's a great fit, nice and quiet, especially if you're prioritizing noise, then it's a really good one. And then, of course, the EK1 or even the EK2 if you are going to be filling up lots of tanks. So your fields, your shops, all those guys. Now, let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up in the comments. I'm super responsive, or at least try to be. And I will put links in all these in the description below. If you use my links, it supports the channel at no cost to you. Because I am such a tiny channel and this is such a niche topic, I don't really make hardly any money from YouTube. So I really appreciate you using those links, or if you want to do a super chat or anything like that, that's also much appreciated. But you guys have a great day. Hopefully this information is helpful to all of you. And again, hit me up in the comments if you have any questions.